Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 3 of the Witch King podcast. Today I'm joined again with my good friends Lido, Mark, and Dave. How are we all doing?
Clearly better than you, Casper, but I cheers.
Aye, good man.
I do alright.
I don't know what you're talking about, Lido. I'm doing it fantastic. It's a Sunday, but the NFL later, a couple of cans of beer. We've got a tournament next 2 weekends time. All doing good. I guess we can just start really with some of the content that's happened since we all spoke to you last, which would have been the first event. It's called the Tales of Middle Earth, which was a narrative event run by our good friend Stuart Dobie in Falkirk, the arena. I was in attendance, but I didn't actually play many of the games, so I'll kind of hand it over to you in 2 minutes. Just to kind of intro the event. It was sort of put on, feel free to jump in, but it was put on as like a fundraiser event to kind of improve, I believe it was mostly the terrain in the arena, which has been really quite a cool venue, but there is obviously, with all new places, sort of lacking on things. But so it's been a really cool event. Anyone want to sort of chime in?
Aye, yeah, I know that, I guess with any startup store, you try to cater for as many different game systems as possible, so, they've got a bunch of sci-fi, and I think Malifaux's a really big game in that store, so they've got a lot of terrain for different stuff, but in terms of Middle-earth specific terrain, not a huge amount. I think that's some of the feedback that had been given for some of the events that had been held there, so Dobie was running this event as a fundraiser to get some new Middle-earth specific terrain for the store, which is really cool. So profits that were going from it will go straight into buying terrain for the shop. So we'll see that at any tournaments that are taking place there next year. And I think Dobie's also quite keen to maybe set up a regular games night or club night in the arena for Middle-earth once they get that terrain built and painted and stuff. So that'd be quite cool. Certainly quite handy for me. It might be something I might pop along to then again.
Did you say how much he raised? Was it just over £200?
I think it was 300 maybe.
Yes, I think closer to 300, I think. But I can't remember the exact number.
That's pretty class. I didn't realise it was near that much.
Yeah. Done really well. I mean, obviously, it's not that it's a bad thing. All these shops starting out, it's hard to cater, like you say, for everyone, isn't it? And Lord of the Rings is quite a thematic type game, so having terrain that's specific to the game we play is really cool. And in terms of the arena, I made a few comments when I first went about the lighting not being great, but it seems to be everything's taken on board. Everything seems to be far
they're working on things.
Improved.
I think they're really receptive to feedback and stuff, which is great.
It's the main thing you want to see. I've only been there for an event once. I think it might have been twice, but certainly the first event that I was there at, the only complaint that I had for it was that the terrain was pretty sparse. And so seeing that they are actually taking that on and trying to do something about it, and very successfully by the looks of it, it's great to see. And also they're doing it in quite a nice way as well, because I think there was a few new players and things went along to the narrative day. Is that right?
Aye, I mean, the narrative is quite perfect for that. There was a few people brought some folk to introduce. I know Ian had brought his young nephew along, and I think Andy Stone, he'd brought his brother-in-law, I think, and father-in-law, and a few other people that were there. So, nice kind of way to bleed some people into it, because the narrative games, I mean, you're replaying iconic scenes for the movies and stuff, so it's really fun, and very bit different for usual competitive ones, so nice change of pace.
I was driving up and I saw Andy Stone appear, and I saw his passenger, and I just, for some reason, thought it was Stuart Collette. So at some point during the day, I'm thinking to myself, when did Stuart leave? But he was never there. It was his brother-in-law.
Nah, Stuart don't go to an event with no points on it. What are you on about?
It's worth saying, so it wasn't a GBHL event or anything. It was more just a kind of fun narrative day, which is cool because, like you say, gets new people into the hobby, and that always helps for us.
Aye.
It is worth saying as well is that obviously it's great the arena's doing these things, but this was very much so Dobie's thing. He organised it, he made the cakes, or Stacey made the cakes actually, and I can vouch for Stacey's bacon being top tier. So
cakes were
lovely. I had one, yeah, great, lovely,
really, really nice cakes. Enjoyed those.
They were all I got one of the ones with Smaug fingers and all that.
Yeah, I had one of them.
It's class because illegal marks on it.
So it looks quite interesting. A lot of the boards that you were playing on for these narrative games they're all very, very different from what from the kind of boards that you're used to playing on if you only really play in tournaments.
Yeah.
Some of the terrain, especially the Goblin Town one, is what it is. That looks really interesting with it being kind of sort of, is it 3 tiers of elevation that you're dealing with?
Aye, yeah, there probably are 3.
Yep.
The exciting thing about that is that all of the terrain is mine's and Chris's terrain. Some of it we do use at Scouring. Obviously, the Goblin Town is not used at Scouring. It's just used for sort of intro games and stuff. So for me, getting to actually play on my own scenery that I don't very often get to touch was great. Like, it was really cool. That Goblin Town board with no use for many a year, so it was nice to get out of the garage and get a game on it myself, and then see other people enjoying using it as well. It's cool. It's one I was able to purchase from a local Games Workshop way back when after the Goblin Town kind of went out of rotation. They had that board in GW, and I was able to get my hands on it after. But it's really cool.
Did the platform survive transit back home?
The one that had snapped, yeah, we had a wee breakage which I was able to fix up, and it's still intact, which is good.
That's class. The terrain's really, really cool. I mean, I didn't get to play in them, but does Weathertop at Scouring, or I'm making that up?
Weathertop, yeah, we do use the Weathertop at Scouring. Typically down, I'd say lower to mid tables, like, because I guess it's cool to play on, but it could be a bit of an issue.
I've saw it then. That's why I've saw it a few times.
Could be a bit of an issue for some of the top table games.
You should do like a Lake Town board on game 1 just to really piss everyone off. That would be.
I've had that in the past. It was not fun.
I remember the Lake Town, you guys know better than me, but down in Scouring of Cheshire, like years back, Dave, you remember I came down, there was like a Lake Town board and it was awesome, like so cool, but should not be a GBHL event.
At the same thing, the doubles event that Alan Cameron were running 2023 in Newcastle, there was a Lake Town board there. I had quite a lot of water on it and some really awkward buildings moved around. It looked class, but it was a nightmare to play on.
That's why
I think the tables like that, fine to be at an event, but there should be an alternate table if you would like to play on an actual table where you can play on.
We managed to make
up-to-date swim test.
We managed to make a Lake Town board for Scouring, but it's kind of the inverted thing where we've got little bits of water dotted around, and the actual mat is the mat's like gives the impression of wooden platforms, and we've got wee square areas of water with some boats around it, so you can play around it. So that'd be quite cool for folks.
Was that there last year?
It was there last year, yeah.
That might be the board that played the big one.
Was it the first time last year?
I think it was brand new last year for the first time, yeah. So, but no, Narrative one was really cool. We had 4 missions to play, which was Escape from Goblin Town, Weathertop, Ambush at Am and Hen, and Balance Tomb. So all really iconic scenes for the movies and stuff like that, and we had nice terrain for each of them. And the games were. I never got to play Ambush at Am and Hen myself, but I did get to play the other 3, and they were really fun. The Weathertop one super quick, like you can play that in like maybe 15-20 minutes. So I actually flipped me and me and Alex Burdas were playing it, and we played once as each as the Wraiths and once each as the Hobbits and Aragorn. Whereas Goblin Town, that one's maybe more like a 2-hour game. So it definitely took a bit longer. But good fun. You did play Am and Hen, Liddell, I think, didn't you?
I started on Am and Hen, and then got a game of the Weathertop, and then went to Goblin Town, and then back to Weathertop, because again it was, like you said, 5-10 minutes. The 4 ring race that have 0-7-0 and a Witch King at 1-10-0, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
It was pretty much a no might situation, and if you lose a fight, you could somewhat easily die from Sam with 2 points of might on him.
There's quite a few wee cool bits of Hobbits killing Wraiths and stuff like that, and just loads of opportunity for
the Wraith player.
Just loads of opportunity for fun wee moments in the narrative games. So something like to see a bit more in. There was Cameron Rory, he ran a narrative event as a GBHL event in January, and I think he's doing another one next year in February. So if you like the narrative games, but you also want to dip into the tournament scene. That's like a perfect kind of bridge for that. Keep an eye out for it.
It might still be a charity event as well.
Cameron's one is, yeah.
Yeah. I know he's been talking about potentially doing 2 next year. Like one round about Thorn's Company and one round about the Three Hunters.
Certainly doing the Three Hunters one in February. I'm not sure on any others. But...
In terms of you mentioned earlier, Dobie's looking to trying to set up a regular day. He asks me all the time, and my head's fried. I believe it's is it a Tuesday or a Thursday?
I think it's a Wednesday. Well, the arena's open till I think the arena's open till 11 on a Wednesday night. So I think it's a Wednesday. He was looking to set that up as well.
Wednesday for late night.
Well, just to sort of highlight that then, because anyone's listening who's thinking about getting involved, or you know us or whatever, if that appeals to you, they're looking to do like a regular night on a Wednesday. It's in Falkirk. It's so good just to have, I mean, if you want to get better at the game, if you're new to the game, everything, because reps is more important than anything, really. And if you don't have a way to play, that's something that would really help the scene. If you just want a bit of a banter, to be honest, on a Wednesday, it'd be good.
Aye, I get to see folk. It's all quite, not so much for yourself, Mark, although Opponent Station's quite, it is near Opponent train station, but certainly for me, Liddell and Casper, it's really local.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I might end up going down there for some games next week, to be honest, because I'm going to be in Pullman for a week, so
nice.
I actually going to play some games there. That's not
you are in jail for a week, like?
No, it's my mum's away on holiday. I'm cat sitting for her.
The Pullman jail still there, is it? No, I think
the
prison. The prison.
I've delivered to it in the past.
Why we leveling Mark's rice pudding for his dinner every night when he's in prison.
As well as the games, there was a tombola, Tom Bombadil's tombola or something it was called, and you done all right at that, Casper, didn't you? You managed to win a few things.
Yeah, I won some Hill Tribesmen. I won annoyingly, because I was one of those ones that got like 3 or 4 wins, but it was like I won like a wee pack of dice, so I was like hyped for half a second. But it was also a good cause. I got some dice. I got some like the rules missions and stuff. Like you get the mat. I think.
They'd broken up a couple starter sets. They had like the new starter set with the Hill Tribesmen and Wolf and the Rohan dudes, and then they had an older starter set with the Witch King and Banana and Orcs and stuff. And I think they just like broken that up into bits, and then you buy
Witch King.
Aye, that guy. On his Fellbeast. And you bought a ticket. You had like a 1 in 10 chance to win a prize, which is
pretty class. Buzzing, like I mean, I was saying off air a little bit there that there was like so many good prizes left, and it was like I turned late in the day and I was like, I'm a bit of a gambling addict, and you're sitting these plastic crack models in front of me, and I was just give me more and more tickets. I actually took my daughter with me, and I was getting her to pick the tickets out, and I was like, she wasn't getting any winners, so she got punted. Obviously, too competitive, and I'm in there fishing the winners. Right?
You start at the shop now.
Yes.
She's been good.
No, she's had no dinner since, like, too much of a loser. Anyway, on the speak of Witch King, actually, that's a really
Some
good...
of our fans are phoning child services right now.
My door's just gone, actually. I think there's the place there. And speaking of the Witch King, which was in the Tombola, there was also another Witch King. It brings us on to our next event, which was Look to the East, a GBHL 90 in Dundee, where I believe all 3 of you attended, is that right? And one of us maybe won it. Not me, anyway. But yeah, our very own Mark Capewell took the dub, didn't you? Talking of Witch King. In general, before we get into lists and your experience, which will be cool, how did we get on? How did you find the event?
I thought it was class. It was another Duncan Peacock event up at I think it's Kingdom of Airsoft.
Saltire Games
in Dundee. Yeah, Saltire Games. And it's we spoke about another Dundee event, sort of an episode or 2 ago. Same place, same guy running it. This one was class again. That event was quality. So was this one. Bit different. It was 600 points, 4 games. And we were played quite a few new scenarios, actually. I think we played 2 of the new scenarios. And just like last time, the terrain was class. Everyone was very nice. I thought it was thought it was a really good event. I think it's probably one of the better venues in Scotland for my money anyway. When it comes
It's 4
to
days, so 4 games, 1 day, right?
yeah, 4 games 1 day. I think he's looking at doing a 2-day event at some point in the future.
Yeah, early next year, I think.
not sure when
He's planning on it. Although obviously the GBHL calendar's not been released, but I
Yeah,
believe
but he's
early
aiming
next
for
year.
February.
It seems tougher now that with the increase of the amount of 90s that are available, especially like 1 day 90s. There never used to be so many, but now there's so many. I think it's quite tough for 2 day 90s. Like, it's maybe just me like being a parent and stuff that I find myself like, because obviously Ambush of Air is coming up so much. I absolutely love, one of my favourite events, but I think it's quite tough choosing between going to a 2 day when you know there's so many 1 days, and it's just it's a whole different commitment.
No, I get that. I've got a somewhat hybrid 1 day / 2 day event in mind.
It'd be interesting, it's a total tangent, but I don't know if there's a scope for 95 point events, but let's leave that for another episode. Yeah, Liddell, did you enjoy the event? And did you, Dave, as well?
Yeah, it was good. Ended up 2-2. It's not great, but still enjoyed it.
I very
down
much
the bottom tables, playing on the Weathertop tables and the and the Allen End tables.
I started on Weathertop.
I actually did.
I mean, I lost to Ian and Chris, and then so you can't really argue with that. And then played 2 new players, and then obviously beat them. Hopefully, we picked up some things along the way. One of which actually won most sporting.
Picked up things off you. I hope that's game specific.
That's dangerous.
Well, hopefully it's obviously not the same kind of things they could have picked up off of Mark, like, but I mean...
That's true. Just going to clear this up. I currently have COVID.
Come on, Dave, bring it back.
I definitely know most important votes there for Mark. Like, I'm going to come here, win the event, and then give people COVID.
Spreading COVID.
Most important votes.
I did get a couple of most sporting votes actually, which I was quite happy with. But no, I also went 2-2, very similar to Liddell. Lost my first 2 games. Played against Andrew Kerr in the first game, was Eagles, and it just literally everything that could have went wrong. Like, Andrew knows what he's doing with Monster List. We've mentioned that before. And when you lose all the move offs, the Eagles just are rolling 60s, winning the fights, and it's like crucial things. Duran got one-shotted by just a regular Eagle in one combat. It's like total disaster. And then I'm on the second bottom table and I play Caleb in the second game. Caleb's just back for the States, like top player. It's great to get a game in with Caleb. I don't think either of us wanted to be playing on the second bottom table, game 2 at the event. But that was a really fun game, really tight as well. Like, one of the ones could have ended. If it ends the first game, I win it. Ends the second turn, he wins it. But then I think I was on literally the bottom table in my third game. And I played against a guy, Ross Farmer, who won the Wooden Spoon. Very new player, but really nice guy. And we had a decent chat after the game and stuff like that. So hopefully he picked up a few things. No COVID or that, gaming tips. And just general chat. And then my last game, I played Danny Cruikshanks actually, that provides all the terrain, so good to get a game in with him as well. I won that, so 2-2, very average for myself. Didn't improve anything score wise, but really good event, well run, nice prizes, nice decent lunch as well. We roll an egg and that, quite enjoyed it.
Good man, get your protein in an egg. Here's a random thought actually: has anyone ever won an event and won most sporting?
I have.
Ever?
I won Look to the East 2024 actually, so Look to the East seems to be a lucky tournament for the Witch King podcast, like, because I won it last year and won most sporting.
Really?
So does that mean it's my time to shine next year then?
That's Casper.
I'm making the big. I'm making
Casper. What?
I'm making the comeback. Don't you worry. Like the revenge tour next year when
2026 is Casper's year now.
I'm all in.
All in. Point 2.
Yeah.
No,
I need to have a chat with my wife and say no more kids. Like, I'm done. Anyway, yeah. So recently we've been getting some people on for interviews to kind of give a bit of a deeper dive into the event. Obviously, congratulations to Mark because he took the dub there. Is it your first win in a while? I mean, you've done really well, but
In a little while, yeah, I've done. I can consider the dust shaking off now. I think I did quite well last year, and then I've not been to many events this year. I did went to things to prepare for WTC earlier on in the year, and I won I won one event before that. When I was bringing Dale to prepare for WTC, and I won an event in Whitburn, and then after WTC, I basically took a bit of a break because I was kind of burned out at the new edition. I wasn't hugely feeling it, and then came back again, Dundee, a few. How long ago was that? Like 2 months, something like that. Might not have been that long.
The first thing
July.
Yeah.
Is that July?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. So came back again in July then, and then now this, and I've kind of got the bug again. But yeah, so it's my first one in a while. First one since April, I think.
That'll be you hooked again. I think that's all it takes sometimes. I'm like that SpongeBob meme with Squidward looking down because I need to get a win in. I really need to get a win in before the year's done, but I don't. There's not many opportunities, and I'm also sorry, go on.
Just I win a game, but like lose the rest. I kind of
honestly, and then. Well, yeah, we'll come to that. I just like hold my hands up. I just don't have enough practice at all. But yeah, anyway, it's not about me. It's about you. You've got the win here. We do have second and third to cover as well. But I think if it's okay, if yourself, you want to just have us a quick run through of your games. There's 4 games, 600 points, right? Was there any list building shenanigans in this event?
There wasn't any special stuff. It was just 600 points. I brought Minas Morgul. I have been looking for an evil list that I want to play, partly to prepare for scouting, and whether I'll settle on this, I'm not sure. But I've not been playing much evil in the new edition at all, and so I kind of wanted to find something that I liked and thought I'd give this a go. It's one of the few lists in the game now that I think retains a little bit of the trickiness that was possible and popular last edition, with things like with the Wraith lists and stuff where you'd have Mordor Spider Queen or Witch King Suladan combinations and that kind of thing. This has a little bit of that feel. So I had the Witch King on a Fell Beast, 2 Mordor captains, bunch of Mordor orcs. Only had 2 Morannons, which is a little bit maybe slightly unorthodox. I think people mostly bring more than that to try and help deal with some of the heavier shooting and not let your line melt too fast. Once you hit combat, however, that decision was made to make room for a Morgul Blade, which turns out was essential to me winning the event, which I'll get onto. But no, it's a good list. I've also got 2 Spectres in there and a Drum, so it's deceptively fast for having no Cav, which I think caught a couple people off guard in my games. And the Spectres give you some interesting tech to pull models out the range of future heroic moves and drag things into combat where they otherwise wouldn't be and that sort of thing, which is quite good. A lot worse than last edition because you can't choose the direction they go. You just have to get dragged straight towards the Spectre, but they're still a useful piece to have. So yeah, I had 4 really good games. Game 1, I played a guy, I think his name was Ross Farmer, yeah, who Dave mentioned earlier. Really nice guy. He was playing fiefdoms. Not the most competitive list, I wouldn't have said. I think he brought along all 4 of the named heroes. So he had Imrahil, Angbor, Dunhir and Forlong, and a smattering of fiefdoms troops. Played him in Treasure Hoard, and unfortunately for him, the Witch King on a Fell Beast is a bit of a powerhouse in that scenario, with the combination of being able to compel things around Barge being what it is now, and just being a flying monster that can kill stuff. It makes it quite hard to stop him playing whack-a-mole and picking up all your treasures. And unfortunately, that's kind of what happened. But it was a good game. He was a lovely guy. I think he's one of the Aberdeen lot that come down to the Dundee events every now and again. Really nice guy. It was a good game. And my first time playing him, so good experience.
So, did you find? So you briefly touched on it. In that scenario, probably the Morannons, because fiefdoms can be quite shooty, but I don't know how was his. What did you say was his list for the fiefdoms?
So he had 27 models, Imrahil, Forlong, Dunhere and Angbor. As far as the shooting was concerned, he only had Dunhere and 6 Rangers, I think. So he was too short of his bow limit. Aye, that's the list there that you've got there. And so his shooting was reasonable, but it's all strength too, so it wouldn't have made a difference really having the Moranans, because my Modder Rocks with shields, he's winning on 6s anyway. I believe they do have a rule where they can do D3 wounds to monsters. I think that might be just in here.
Just in here, yeah.
That's just in here. So I was a little bit wary of that. But I think in an attempt to try and get as much out of the shooting as he could, he deployed them right at the back of the board in a building on the second floor of it, which did mean that they were at a good vantage point to shoot, but it meant that once the combat started, they were a little bit out of place. They were too far behind and couldn't get involved. So he was kind of fighting that combat 5 models down, which meant I outnumbered him kind of 2 to 1.
And what courage are the fiefdoms guys? Is it just Gondor courage 7 or something like that?
There's a mix of them. So they're courage 7 and 6 depending on what you're fighting. I think the Blackroot Vale Archers might be courage 8 plus actually. Certainly last edition they were courage 2.
Yeah, they used to be.
So I never got into combat with them with any of my warriors, so it never made a difference. The Witch King went and dealt with them at the end of the game. But so it was a mix of things, but it was one of the it was a matchup, as all of my games were, where having Blades of the Dead on all my warriors made a big difference, because otherwise I'd been wounding things on 6s.
So actually, if you don't mind going through your thought process a little bit, it might seem normal to you, but you don't have then, so a lot of Minas Morgul lists, you're kind of torn nowadays between the why am I having a memory blank? The Shaman. It's not Razgush. It's
Cardiff.
Cardush. Yeah, Cardush. So I think I spoke to you individually, but kind of, were you tempted with Cardush at all? And he seems to be almost an auto include for a lot of Minas Morgul lists.
He's very good. I would take him at higher points. If I was to scale this list up to 800, I've written it 2 ways, one with Cardush and one with the Wraith. I like the idea of having the Wraith for the extra caster, however I think it's probably stronger or the extra caster that can cast transfixes and compels. Cardush, I think, is probably better at 800. At these points, I just wanted to bring the captains because they're cheap, they're solid, competent fighters in this list because they get the Blades of the Dead and on a strength 4 body. So if you throw them into anything that's courage 4, you're winning it on 4s. Even again, and then against courage 2 armies, you're winning that stuff on 3s. So they mince things, and it's just a cheap way of bringing a lot of guys. I knew the way I wanted to play this was kind of a sort of a slightly higher quality swarm, basically. And just throwing out as much body so I can make use of Blades of the Dead as much as possible. And Cardush just limited the amount of people that I could bring.
Interestingly, you don't have you didn't opt for any trackers at all. Was that kind of surprised me a little bit?
No, so the trackers they are useful. They offer reasonable shooting in the list. However, we didn't know what the scenarios were going to be, so I could have struggled a little bit because of that. They might have been useful in some scenarios. Luckily, none of the scenarios that we got were all that would have been all that great for it, I don't think, apart from maybe Lords. However, in the matchup that I had it, I don't think I would have wanted them. I think the list primarily excels in combat, and I think in most scenarios against most armies, you're going to want to be drumming up into their face anyway, and just start throwing hands as fast as possible. And so I very much built it with that in mind, and so just sacked off the shooting entirely and figured that more folks with shields and spears was gonna do me better. There's an argument you can maybe, even in this scenario, still bring kind of 2, 3, 4, so you can do things like head off people's heroic combats and stuff like that. But no, I decided to avoid it with in this one.
It's interesting. I guess we can maybe go more about your list in a bit if we need to. But yeah, so that was game 1. How did you get on the rest of the games?
So game two kind of highlighted. It was very similar to my last game actually, because I ended up playing against Stuart Collette, who's a tournament regular, good player. And he was playing Depths of Moria with the Balrog, and he brought 2 Black Shield captains along with him, and a bunch of goblins. So I think he had 35 models in the end, which it was an interesting matchup because I was playing him in Divide and Conquer, and I looked at the VPs beforehand, and I knew from the get go basically the game was going to come down to if I kill the Balrog, I'm going to get a big win. If I don't kill the Balrog, I'm going to get a big loss. It's an interesting little problem that comes up with playing against the Balrog. Basically, if I don't kill him, the way that the VPs line up, he's going to get 6 points for the centre, 3 points for break, and 2 for having his general in the centre. He might kill the Witch King. I can probably keep him alive, but he's definitely getting those points if I don't kill the Balrog. The best I can then hope for is 3 for each side objective, which is very hard to do because I have to completely clear them and have no enemy models in range of it at all and have just friendlies. 2 for having my general in the centre if I can get them in the middle at the end of the game. That is also reasonably tricky. I have to assume that the Witch King is going to be alive and then the game is going to end on that turn. If I get, and I can maybe get a leader wound potentially. If all of that happens, I'm still looking at an 11-9 loss, and that's still quite a situation that's quite hard to set up. So I knew that I basically had to kill the Balrog from the beginning. Early on in the game, it's the scenario where you deploy in opposite corners, and there's 3 objectives in the middle of the board that you have to go and capture.
What was it? The scenario, sorry?
Divide and Conquer.
Divide and Conquer, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I deploy, or the person who wins the deployment roll-off deploys in one corner, their opponent then deploys in a different corner, and then opposite to the corner that they initially deployed into, they put down another warband, and you end up with your armies completely split on opposite corners of the board. And so it's a lot. That's where things like the drum are fantastic, because I can get my army together far faster than a lot of other armies can. It ended up being a situation that very early on, he threw the Balrog forward, which we spoke about a little bit at the end of the game. I think that was a little bit of a mistake. He committed with the Balrog into my line where the Witch King was quite early and ahead of his goblins, so he didn't have anything that could come round the side and block me from getting guys behind him. I threw the Witch King in, surrounded him with orcs to trap the Balrog, and basically hoped he didn't roll the 6, and he didn't.
Oh, so he didn't. He didn't. He wasn't transfixed or anything like
that. He wasn't
just...
transfixed, no. So I
bet you were nervous.
Well, transfixing him's quite unlikely to get off. So what I did, because he's got resistance to magic and he's got 10 will. So unless you spend the whole game whittling his will down, which the longer you do that for, the less models you're going to have, because the Balrog's going to be able to run around and kill stuff for quite a long time. I decided to cast Enchanted Blades instead, and just bet on him not rolling the 6, basically. And so I cast Enchanted Blades, so I get to reroll all my wounds, ran into combat, called a Heroic Strength, used the Morgul Blade. So I've then got 2 might on the Witch King with 8 dice, re-rolling, wounding on 5s, and I only need to wound him twice to kill it. And so he then doesn't roll the 6. The army breaks because the Balrog's dead, and everything kind of goes from there. It's a bit of an awkward game really, because since that's my only real route to winning is I have to kill the Balrog. Either it's going to be a really big win for me, or it's going to be a really big loss for me, and it's really difficult to walk away from that game with both players satisfied, because something has to go catastrophically wrong for one of you pretty early on.
I think if you take the Balrog,
that makes any sense.
Yeah, if you take the Balrog, like you can't not think you're going to roll a 6 all the time. Does that make sense? You know, at some point you can't just go, "Oh, that's unlucky." I mean, eventually you're just not going to roll a 6, and if it's on that one turn, you're gone. Like,
yeah, it's a tricky one. It's one of the few armies, so I'm quite glad that I took Minas Morgul. It's one of the few armies that can, not reliably, but has a very good chance of killing a Balrog. Whereas a lot of
Spectres
other
are also
armies,
quite good as well. They're not for like because do they go on intelligence Spectres?
so they go on an intelligence check, and against the goblins, they've only got intelligence 8+.
But even the Balrog's only intelligence like 6 or 5 or something. He's
Yeah,
not.
it's not fantastic. I can't remember. I did try and Spectre him at one point, and he passed it. He got like a 4 and a 5 or something. But it's not as high as you would think. I think
Yeah.
it's not like the 7+. It's like a 5 or a 6. So it is possible. And I tried to pull him forward to basically set up the situation that ended up happening anyway. Just through Stuart's own choices of where he moved the Balrog. But I did try and set that up beforehand. It just didn't come off. But yeah, no, the Spectres are pretty good in that matchup.
Awesome. Any questions, Liddell, Dave? Anything to add?
No, not really. But it does seem like it's an army that can at least kill the Balrog, which, as you said there, like you've laid out, it's quite. I think it's a good thing to do actually. Just as a general bit of tournament advice, is what you've done there is try and lay out your win conditions before the start of the game, because if you know going into it, well, I need to kill the Balrog to win this game, then you're going to have to play for it. Whereas I guess there's other missions where I've looked at it and go, well, if I can get a wound on the Balrog and I don't break, but I can 25% them, then maybe I can win. And it's like, that is possible, that you 25% them by killing goblins where you've not broken them because you haven't wounded the Balrog enough times. So I think laying out your win conditions is very much a good thing to do. And sounds like you were well equipped there with the Morgul Blades, that if you didn't roll that 6, you could execute the game plan pretty well, which is nice.
One of like the only tools in the game. It just is like, oh, you've got a Balrog, I've got an answer for that.
Yeah, it's still very high risk, unfortunately, because if you don't roll that 6, you've got a good chance of the Witch King just dying.
Yeah, you're going to get slapped. Like
yeah, I mean, there's also like I've had it where I've played the Witch King into a Balrog before, lost the combat and they've taken 2 wounds, and then I can fate out of it, and you're okay. So it's not like 100% chance that you die, but it is significant risk.
Do you have the free fate on the Witch King?
Yeah.
I think he comes as standard Minas Morgul as
He has to be the big one.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, that's me.
He's the daddy one in that.
That's a hangover from many, many years of ring race being customizable.
I'm quite glad they're not now, to be honest.
You got the wrong Witch King.
Aye.
That's one of the.
Sorry, there you go, guys.
As is one of the few uses of actually the question which king would actually be suitable for a reasonable question. Which king? Yeah, sorry, game 3, Mark.
No, you're all right. So that was
waffling there, Casper.
Yeah.
So that was that was that game, and then went on from that. I was then after game 1. I got a 20-0 in game 1. Went on, was top table there against Stuart, and that was in 17-0 in the end, because I didn't manage to fully capture the centaur. I then went on and played another new person or new to me anyway, a guy called Will Battelle, I think. Might be Will Battle. That'd be way better name for this hobby. But I think it's Will Battelle. He's one of the Pigmar guys. I believe he knows Mark O'Brien and.
Yeah, I've seen the name. He's got a ticket for Scouring. But when the money came through, that was the first time I'd seen his name before. So, like, again, new player to me, but I don't think he might not be a new player. Like, full stop. Just
Yeah, when I was looking through, I had to look at his Longshank stats just to kind of prepare for this episode. And he's been to a few tournaments and things, so I don't think he's completely new to the game. But and he played quite well, to be honest. So I think he's got a bit of experience. But he was playing quite an interesting list, because as I say interesting, I think it's quite straightforward for the army that it is. But I've not seen it before this edition. He was playing Farharad.
Oh, that's cool.
So he had 2 Mahout Kings, a Tribes Master, smattering actually quite a lot of half trolls. I think he had 6. So you've got it up on the your share screen there, Casper. Had another 18 Mahout warriors along there with kind of half blowpipe, half spear, and he had 2 Mahout raiders with war spear. One thing that I didn't realise until we started this game, they told me about it. That's quite an interesting bonus for this army, is that part of their army rules now is that they all have a 6-up fury save all the time. So they've just got like a passive baby Malbeth save basically on everything, which is caused me some problems. It was quite, it's reasonably good. I mean, over the course of, he's got 29 models. He's probably got something like 40 wounds there or something. If the entire army takes wounds, then he's going to be saving what, like 6 of them or something, 6, 7, something like that.
It's a bit like the Last Alliance thing, where it's like it's only on a 6 it happens. Like, you know, the blades of whatever it's called, whirling
the
steel.
whirling blade thing when you charge them, and they just decide you have died now.
Yeah, like when it spikes, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, it can cause you a lot of problems. But I think this was a bit of an unfortunate matchup for him, really, because it was in Lord's Battle, and I've got that Blades of the Dead rule, which against this army is huge. Everything is... I already outnumber him by 12 models, I think. Yeah, 12. And he's Courage 2 basically everywhere, including the half-trolls, which are basically 25 points each, I think. They're usually defense 6, 2 attacks, fight 5, strength 5, I think. Big scary guys that I think are meant to carry his list. And I think he had 2 really big wins before playing me that largely came off of that battle, like just walking through things at fight 5 with 3 attacks in a combat and strength 5, I think it is strength 5. But the moment he loses a combat against 2 of my random shitty orcs, and then wounding him on 4s, even against his half trolls, and I can drop 2 wounds on him quite easily from a shield and a spear guy. And if he doesn't roll the 6 on those 2, then he's lost 25 points in that one combat. So I think it was a bit of a brutal matchup for him. He had a fair shooting advantage against me, and that could have been scary. But I think he got a little bit unfortunate with his shooting rolls beforehand. He deployed kind of just about 12 inches away from me, about 12 inches away from the centre line. I deployed right on the centre, and turn 1 drummed up into his face, flung the Witch King into combat as early as I could. His shooting went quite badly in the first turn of combat, and I think the biggest thing that set me ahead was that I put the Witch King into combat. Called a strike and a barge called a strike. He didn't see the barge, managed to barge onto his general in the first turn of combat and kill him. And from there on, that was that sort of set the tone for the game. He got quite unfortunate with his camel charges as well, as Impaler hits didn't do very much throughout the course of the game. So I think it was always going to be an uphill battle for him, unfortunately. And he got quite unlucky in some key places. And it ended up by the end of it, it was a 20-0 win to myself.
What scenario was that again, Mark?
Lords of Battle. So racking up wins. You tally up your wins and your fate points that you've dealt to the opponent, and if you've got more double or triple, you get, I think, 4, 8, and 12 points for them. And then you've got break and general, and then there's one other for 2 VPs. I can't remember.
Killing heroes, I believe it is. I think
that
you can get 1 victory point per hero killed, up to maximum 2.
Yeah. That's right. So yeah, I managed to get all those. The other big thing is it has the Time for Heroes rule active for it, which a lot of people forget, and this is one of the only games that I actually remembered it, where basically if one of your heroes kills an enemy hero, you get might point back. So I ended up spending about 3 might on the Witch King and ending the game with 3 might on the Witch King. So it was one of those situations as well that's quite... Makes it quite tricky for him, but he played pretty well, I think, for the most part. I think his only big mistake was the missing the strike barge, but it was a good game. It was a fun game. He was a really nice guy. Really enjoyed my game against him. I think he went on to do reasonably well in the tournament.
Sorry, Mark. It's also good to see a different army as well, isn't it?
Yeah, especially in, I think not to rag on it too much, but I think one of my slight criticisms of this edition is that the armies can be a little bit sort of cut and paste. Since we've not got the ally system before, a lot of the armies kind of really tend towards one particular way of building them, so you tend to see a lot of similar armies at events. So seeing people playing things that aren't as common is nice to see, and he did pretty well with it. I think he went 2-2, and ended up in the top half at the end of the event. So
that's not a Legion's list, is it? Like they're not being Legions, have they?
Legacy, yeah, they unfortunately are.
Yeah.
So it's a shame.
Well, it is.
That is a shame, but it's nice to see people getting the opportunity to use them while they still have it. As much as I kind of have flashbacks from my last game against Farharad with Fraser when the camels just spiked and killed 7 Rivendell Knights in the first turn against me, which basically was a GG.
Yeah, that was nasty.
I'm getting a bit of that feeling with Mimics now. I know it's not the same sort of thing exactly, but
not the same when it's 1 strength 4 hit. As opposed to 4 strength 10 or 9 or whatever the Mimic is.
yeah. That's
Luckily,
true.
we don't see too many mimics at events. Obviously.
Oh man, I hate them. I'm so bad against them because none of my friends really have them. You never practice against a Mimic, and it's always at a tournament, and you're like, oh no, like
Tricky. They're such a slot machine model, and like it's just you either get your priorities and your move offs in the right order to be able to get on it, heroic strength with some guys and kill them, or you get ran over. There's not that much you can do about it.
it's definitely one of these models where after the game you can go, I should have done this, but in the moment and in the time it's not overly obvious, and you just get trampled on and everything dies. It's just like, oh well, good fun. Like, you cancelled my move. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm dead. Sounds fun. Anyway, game 4. That would be the showdown. Then at this point, you're getting a bit nervous.
Yeah, so at this point I was, so I knew it was going to be a hard game because I didn't know who was going to be playing going into the last game. It was always, I think it was between Danny and Ian that I was going to be playing, and my VPs were pretty high at this point, so it was always going to be a difficult game. And I ended up drawing into Danny in the end, who was playing Depths of Moria again. So I was going to have to basically thought I was going to have to kill another Balrog. And we were playing lead from the front, which is one of the new scenarios where you've got 3 objectives in the centre and they can only be held by heroes. And the thing that differentiates whether or not you hold the objective is your heroic tier. So if you've got a Fortitude in range of one of the objectives and they have a Hero of Valour, and they've got a Hero of Valour in range of it, then the player with the Hero of Valour will hold that objective. I thought another thing that Duncan said that I'm not sure if it's specified in the scenario, but he was also taking into account dominant value. He came over and gave a little sort of clarification to everyone before the games that if you had a dominant legend, like I was playing against the Balrog, so my Witch King was dominant 3 because he's a general, and his Balrog was dominant 10 because it's the Balrog. If they were both on the same objective, the Balrog would hold it. Not sure if that's standard, but he did come and give a clarification for it, so I assume it's up in the air.
I think it's one that's probably worth an FAQ, if I'm honest. I think it comes down to dominant. If you're dominant, you count as X models for the purpose of objectives, but the question in this one is, do you count as X heroes? And I don't know whether you do or not, to be quite honest. You are a hero. Does dominant make you 3 hero models if you're a leader, like 2 hero models if you're dominant 2 in the case of like a dwarf captain or something, or 10 hero models in the case of the Balrog? I would lean to saying that it doesn't, personally, but I think it would be nice to get FAQ'd, because I have seen this question come up before, at like other GBHL events and stuff.
Playing the game.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that's not going to come up unless you've got quite a specific matchup, I think, where you've got different heroes that have varying dominant values, which only tends to happen with monsters, really.
It matters in things like Recon, where it's like you get points for getting heroes off the board. Like, again, if you get a dominant 2 model off the board, dominant 2 hero off the board, does he count as 2 heroes? I think no, but I've seen people argue the other way, so it'd be nice if they can clear that up in the next FAQ.
Yeah, my assumption would be they wouldn't, but I can't imagine it's going to be left out the next FAQ.
I feel like that's stretching the rules, and you're reaching for something that's just not there.
Yeah. I mean, at least it was clarified for you. I agree with everyone. I don't think that's the way it should be played, but if that's the way it is, that's the way it is.
The good thing was that Duncan came around and gave us a ruling right at the beginning of the game. There was no like time for you to make a plan that took it that hinged around it working in a different way. He made sure that everyone was aware how the scenario was going to be played right at the beginning, and so that was the main thing. So everyone was playing on the same playing field, which is important. But so yeah, the game was quite straightforward, to be honest. both immediately start trying to get into the centre of the board as fast as possible to try and claim these centre objectives in a similar way as you would if you were playing something like Seize the Prizes. The centre of the board, or the centre line of the board is kind of everything in this scenario. And it was always going to be, we thought it was going to be quite dicey potentially, because we both had a hero, a legend, and we both had 2 heroes of fortitude, because he had 2 goblin captains. And it was potentially going to be quite tight as to who could get the side objectives, but the centre was always going to be going to the Balrog. So it's another game where I looked at it beforehand and went, if the Balrog isn't dead, I'm probably losing here. It's less true in this scenario than it was in Divide and Conquer. So if I don't kill the Balrog, Danny likely gets minimum 4 points for the objectives, 3 for breaking me. And I'm looking at maybe 2 from the other objective if I can get his captain off of it. 2 from the banner and 1 from maybe leader wound, which is still a 7-5 loss there. I can get more points than that. I'm not massively unlikely to be able to kill his captain if I can go commit the Witch King to him, potentially keep him far enough away from the Balrog that he's not then going to get eaten off the back of whatever I have to do to kill the captain. And that I might be able to get a small win, but it seemed pretty unlikely to me before the game that if the Balrog didn't die, that I was gonna win the game. So I decided before the game started that either the Balrog's dying or I'm losing, basically. So I went in with the same mindset as I did against Stuart, where I felt I basically had to kill the Balrog, and that was the game plan from the beginning. So we march up and our lines start getting intertwined and start fighting on the first turn of combat, and I thought at one point I was going to lose the game off of an awkward hurl that I didn't see coming. I left the Witch King on his Fellbeast within a hurl range of the Balrog. He won a combat and hurled into me. I checked the hurl rule beforehand just to double check that it was all that it worked like it did last edition, where the Witch King wouldn't have been knocked off his Fellbeast because he's strength 6. I read it as that still being the case, and so I wasn't worried about the Witch King being in range. And when the Balrog won the combat and threw through my orc at the Witch King, he thought it was going to be knocked prone. We went and got Duncan, and Duncan gave the ruling that it would be knocked prone from that hurl. And I thought in that moment, I was like, shit, okay, I've lost the game here, because I probably can't trap the Balrog anymore with the Witch King, unless he pushes forward with the Balrog a lot more than he should. Because the thing that's going to let me trap the Witch King is the fact that I've got the Fellbeast. I can throw the Witch King over the back if I need to, trap the Balrog from the front with my orcs, and then kill it that way, doing the same thing that I did to Stuart in game 2. Luckily for me, later on in that game, there was a heroic combat that Danny called with his Balrog that he forgot to move the Balrog from after doing that combat. So we came back to doing it, and I think just a little lapse in concentration because he was just doing it quickly because he'd forgotten to move the Balrog before. He just threw the Balrog forward, and my brain sort of lit up at that because I was like, oh, okay, Balrog is now far enough forward that I can trap him with my orcs and kill it. And so the same thing that happened with Stuart, throw in the Witch King, trap the Balrog from behind, call a strength, enchanted blades, hope he doesn't roll the 6, and he didn't. Still got 2 might in the Witch King to spend on wounds if I need to, and kill him with the Morgul Blade. And from there, the nature of the army is that everything kind of falls apart if there's any time left in the game and you've lost the Balrog, because the army immediately breaks. I've got Harbinger on the Witch King to drain to lower the courage of the goblins, so his +1 to courage from his army bonus doesn't matter so much, and things start running, and it eventually turned into a 16-0 win in the end.
So so during the course of the event, your Witch King fought a Balrog twice, is that right?
Yeah, so he killed 2 Balrogs over the course of the event. Yeah. It was one of those things where I was looking at those matchups and it was like either I get lucky and I kill the Balrog or I probably lose. So I've just got to go in and hope they don't roll the 6s in those particular combats, and they didn't.
I mean, I guess I'm being harsh. It's not it is a bit lucky, but it's not like it's
Oh, it is.
you're doing the right thing. Yeah.
Had you?
It definitely is.
It's very lucky the fact that he's managed to get not one but two Balrogs, and then both of them haven't failed to roll a 6. For
It's
him.
pretty
favours
lucky.
the brave big
Though
man.
I would also argue that no one has ever won a tournament in the GBHL without being a bit lucky.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Oh, yeah,
Had you
100%,
factored the Balrog
100%.
into your thinking when you brought this list? In terms
Yeah,
of
so that I knew Danny was going, and I knew there was a fair chance he was going to be bringing the Balrog because I know he likes the list. I also knew Stuart was going. I also knew Stuart was going, and he has a tendency to bring Balrog related things as well. I don't know about this edition necessarily, but certainly last edition he was always bringing mental shit like
he's podiumed with in this
the
edition
Balrog and the Watcher and stuff. So it was to bringing the list specifically. I wasn't thinking about the Balrog. That was definitely the reason I was wanting to bring the Morgul Blade for sure. I think I decided on the list just because I kind of wanted to give it a go. But then that was why I decided to take less Morannons than you maybe normally would, and definitely made sure I took the Morgul Blade. Because I had some discussions with some other players about it that thought I maybe shouldn't take the Morgul Blade, but decided to go with it, and I'm very glad I did.
I mean, I think honestly it's like a guaranteed thing to take most of the time. I don't see why you wouldn't. And this like monster meta with Eagles and Balrog.
Definitely this edition, yeah. Like
yeah,
last
I
edition,
would almost always take it, I think.
Yeah.
Aye.
There's maybe an argument to not take it in Good v Evil. That's something I've been thinking about, just because there's Eagles, but that's kind of the only thing that it really does much against in a Good v Evil tournament. So if you're happy to bet that you're not going to have to play against Eagles, then leaving
you've still
it,
got the Ents
I
as
think,
well,
is reasonable.
and they're
That's
still
true, actually.
staying at low points.
Yeah,
And the higher you go, the Eagles and the Ents just get left behind.
I think it's nice to see like you make a meta call and then it pays off. Like that's obviously like a cool thing.
Aye, that was nice. That was kind of felt slightly vindicated.
And your VPs are absolutely insane as well. Like you look at that VP diff, 73 scored and 0 conceded. So like, well done on that, man.
Yeah,
that's some shift like that you've done there. Very, very cool.
It wasn't bad. I was after the first game and seeing how the second game was going. I kind of wanted to go for the 20 and see if I could get as many as possible. But the way that a certain combat went wrong at the end of the game against Stuart, and that wasn't going to happen. But I can't complain.
No, I mean, it's the first time running them as well, isn't it? Minas Morgul.
Yeah, no, it's the first time using the army. Not the first time I've used something like that. I did Witch King, Spider Queen last edition a bit, and that kind of thing. So it's not something I'm completely unused to. But I mean, historically, all my success has tended to come from solid battle lines that do a very kind of standard front to back sort of game plan. So this is a bit of a different army for me to actually have success with, I think. The majority of my success would have been stuff like Easterlings and Arnor and Gondor variants.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I'm sort of in the market for I'm looking forward to Scouring as well. And I've not set on an evil army at all this edition, because very much like you, I ran the Mordor thing as well. And I don't think it really works like it used to. But this is similar, like you said at the start. It's some of the same janks, but
if you're looking for that kind of list, I could definitely recommend this. I think another thing that works quite well and plays similarly is Army of the Great Eye. And I think play very, very similarly to those sorts of lists. If you bring it with led by the Dark Marshal and bring the Mouth Long, you can get a similar sort of experience to some of the Mordor lists that turned up last edition.
One thing actually that to point out about this event, I'm very much appreciative of, what was the TO called again? Sorry, I forget his name. Duncan
Peacock, yeah.
Actually getting everyone to upload their lists on Longshanks. That is very much...
It makes our life easier.
It makes our life easier, but I think people have got a bit lazy with it now, because I think when it first started, everyone was doing it. And now, I don't know, did he actually specifically say you had to do it?
He was asking people to do it on the Facebook page, yeah.
Yeah, I sent him a list and I didn't put it on Longshanks, and he specifically messaged us and said to do it. I think it's quite a helpful thing for as much as like some people put in wee jokes and stuff in their army, it's quite helpful for newer players as well. I think that people can go back and have a look at, if someone decides that they want to play Beyondings, they can go back and they can go, oh, Ian went 4-0 at this event. I'll go have a look at what it was that he did.
To be honest, like
it's maybe not really a good army to choose from. You've got like two choices.
Well,
Not
yeah,
for
no,
new
that's
players.
that's true. You can choose, how many bows are you going to take is basically the only question.
I think this you should just always do it. Like what? Like I mean, it's
Yeah.
like,
Well, even when you're like seeing I'm up against so and so, I can now go and look at their list.
well, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And like in a lot of the packs, like I know in Scouring packs, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but you should print off a copy of your list to bring in. I don't do it. Like
Printed
I
or
used to.
digital. It doesn't need to be printed, but you need to at least have a digital copy of your list to be able to show your
Yeah,
opponent.
but at the very least, if it's in Longshanks, then at least you can go, right, I don't know this. Like what? Anyway, it's just a small thing, and it's nice to see they've done it.
I mean, Bjornins are like not the example, I guess, but there are plenty of other armies where the list could be built completely differently from, like, you just seeing the faction, you don't know exactly what you're going to get. So having a list there is really useful.
Yeah, thank you,
Nice and
Duncan.
tough.
I need to go to that event in Dundee. I will eventually.
Yeah, they're really good. Just go to the today one. The other thing that's worth mentioning on this event is that the best painted that came from it was quality. I think we've got some pictures of it.
Yep, I'll put them up.
They did a kind of first stage elves that were, I think it was fighting some dwarves. I think was the thing. I don't know the theme of it because my lore knowledge is
You're just sweaty. You're a big sweaty turbo gamer.
basically, if it's not going to win me a tournament, I don't know it. that's pretty much how it goes. But I did make a note of it. Okay, yeah. First stage theme: Doriath elves fighting dwarves near Menegroth. Someone will know what that means. But that was it, and it looked class. It was really nice. He did some trees for it and had these dwarves and elves fighting up towards a throne. That looked really, really good. It was quality.
The theme doesn't mean a huge amount to me, but it looked cool. I played against them in the last game. It was the elves. The elves were the army was actually using. The dwarfs were there as a sort of display piece for like a diorama type thing. And it was Frandral's Halls that it was rules wise, but yeah, it was supposed to be. Was it the Doriath elves? I think, which is like a first stage type thing, which I guess was showing our lack of lore knowledge here.
I know.
J-Mac would know.
He'd be all over that. Josh O'Brien as well, like shouting it to somewhere.
And the other thing that's worth calling out is most sporting was won by Callum Brown, which is nice to see as well because I think he's new to tournaments, isn't he?
Is that the guy that was running the free trolls?
Yeah, I played him in the last game.
Interesting army to win most sporting with as well, because that's an army that's liable to frustrate you.
Yeah,
it just dies banter in it. In terms of like second and third, I'm not going to go into too much detail because, well, I mean, I'll give the players a shout out. Ian, making somewhat of a late season resurgence, coming second with Beyondins. Now, was he undefeated then, or was it?
Yeah, he did go for
right.
No, it was just a VP difference.
He was in that position where there was three years undefeated going into the final round, which was Mark and Danny, and then Ian was the third one. So he's kind of sitting there going, they need to draw for me to win this because Mark's VPs were so good. And he knew that, I think maybe if Danny had beat you, Mark, Ian maybe could have overtaken him if he'd got a big win and Danny got a small win. But I think realistically, you're in that position. You're probably playing for second, but you go 4-0, it's a good result. So I back on the scene with the old Bears.
Jumped him into second place for top Scot as well.
It's a massive improvement in the rankings, which we'll come on to after this segment here. But he another big score for Ian there.
Yeah, I don't. No, yeah, I'm going to say I don't think he was undefeated in his last event. No. Anyway, yeah, he came second with Bjornins, which is class. Bit of a late season resurgence. Good to see. And then obviously Danny, we spoke about him a few times. He's doing really well. Again, I'm not going to go into his list because it's Bjornins and Depths of Moria. So it's literally the most copy-paste armies ever. Not that that's a problem, of course. It's just that I don't think we need to cover them
Aye.
in much more detail.
Well, people want to cover, if you want to listen to Finlay talking about his Beyondings on the last episode, go back to episode 2, because Finlay goes in depth quite a bit on Beyondings, and the lists are very similar. So,
you can also put on a Longshanks link in the description, and then folk can just go and look at all the lists that they want to.
It's nice to see the guy, obviously, you were playing Danny in the last game, and he still came away with third after losing.
It was good for him getting a point. I think he was really pleased with it.
It can be a bit frustrating if you're losing that top table game and then you've dropped down to 4th or 5th as well. So, quite nice to see.
Yeah, it's a pain in the arse.
Yeah, it's quite a tough field as well. Yeah, done really well.
There's quite a lot of good players there.
In terms of events, that was really we've kind of got up to speed now with the past events, so we've not really got much more to cover on that front. I guess a slight nod to what's up next before we do a sort of a bit of a GBHL segment. So as time of recording, we've got your event, Liddell, the Rule of 2 in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, 2 weeks today. Well, from when we were recording it.
The submission's like now, isn't it?
Ideally, yeah. I mean, I asked for 2 weeks in advance because I know there's going to be people that are going to be late for whatever reasons. So ideally, I want to have nothing the week of the event. So there is a kind of a week window, but that doesn't mean you've got an excuse to be late.
Are we all going to Rule of 2?
I think we are, yeah.
Nice. You are actually. And I'm still waiting on lists from 2 of you.
I'm humming and hawing, and to be honest, I was Minas Morgul locked in, which annoys me because then Mark goes and wins an event with it, and I'm like, I just look like I'm absolute bandwagon.
So I don't think I'm using mine, so you can just go for it. You'll be the only one.
It's not great with the 3 Andor rules, but
that's why I'm not using it.
I think there's a trap, because we probably speak about it just now, because I don't think this will go out before list submission, but I think it's a bit of a trap. I think don't think it really matters too much getting the free chibs unless you're going like Ravenhill or you're going like Mass Hero. I don't see it being that much of an issue.
It's changed the way I've been choosing armies. I had a Erebor Acclaim list I was thinking about playing, but just thought if I'm paying points for dwarves that are meant to be not dying and then they're getting killed on 4s by random captains, that feels bad.
I've massively changed what I'd be taking for that exact reason. I won't say just now. It is evil though.
Was the Harad? Dave's Harad coming back out the box?
Oh well, we'll see.
The Harad's been away for a while now.
The Golden King would be a nice, annoying addition.
We'll see in the next episode, I think, because we'll probably cover Rule of 2 in the next one. So.
How many attacks does the Golden King have?
4, I think.
4.
Golden King is
pretty brutal.
He's the most broken model in the entire edition. I think he's an actual joke of a model.
I mean, he's still probably fight 4 or 5 or something. So
fight 4.
Oh no, wait. Is it Golden King? I might get mixed up. Who's the fat guy? Who's the fat guy?
The guy that gets carried by the fat guy. So
OP. Absolute OP.
I don't know that he's actually overpowered. He's just designed badly.
For Rule 2, he runs into people and goes, right, if I win an attack, I've got 4 attacks, I'm winning your heroes and 4s. If I lose, here's a point of will.
Yeah. Maybe I do just take more the Minas Morgul stuff so I can just say transfix. Fuck your money, I'm just going to kill you.
Dave's going like, right, next section, let's stop talking about Harad. You're
it might not even be my army. We'll see.
I don't think it is your army. I think your army has 4 heroes.
I actually didn't even think about how good that would be with the just paying people off, so you can't even. There's going to be so many heroes. Probably a good shout, to be honest. Anywho, so that's on the horizon. So not slightly, a much sort of shorter episode this time round. But before we kind of wrap up, our very own Dave is going to give us a bit of an update on GBHL qualifying, region scores, things like that, right? What's your sort of aim for this day?
Yeah, it's really actually mainly a Team Scotland update for next season's international events. But by going into it, we will go over the GBHL rankings because they're quite integral to that. So for people that don't know, I guess Team Scotland, we've got the opportunity to play internationally at the WTC, which is next year in May in Copenhagen, and the Nations Cup, which they've not announced the date for it yet, and I also didn't even know where it is. But yeah, 2 international tournaments next year, and you qualify for that via your GBHL rankings or your region rankings. So I'll share my screen and go through a little bit of chat on that. Again, just to touch on it, WTC has been going for going since 2017. I'm the rep for our Team Scotland for the WTC. So if you have any questions on it, drop me a message about that if you're interested. Once the season closes, we announce the team, but it's good to just give people a bit of an idea of where things are sitting, what you might need to do to qualify if that's something that you're interested in. Equal Nations Cup, again, it's the end of the season that the team gets announced. It's Chris Murphy that's the Scottish rep for that. So any questions, direct them to Chris, but if there's just general questions about the event, we can probably answer them, albeit none of us have been to that one yet. So as I say, I'll share my screen and we'll have a wee look through the rankings just now and see how things are sitting. So first off, if you go to the GBHL website, which is here, and you go to the rankings tab. GBHL website is a great place to go just for information on the GBHL itself. We mentioned the Legacy FAQ a couple of episodes ago. It's held there. There's some interesting blogs and like references for TOs in terms of like example rules packs and the actual GBHL rules document itself and all that sort of stuff. So all good stuff on the website if you're interested in it. But what we're going to focus on here is the rankings. They have this rankings archive as well, which lets you go back and see the rankings all the way back to 2013 when the GBHL first started, which is interesting just historically to go back and look at these things. But we're going to look at the 2025 ones. You click on it. I've already got open in this tab here. And this is just a big massive spreadsheet that shows you how the GBHL itself is going. So this is the main rankings document. You'll see there like De Farmer, Jakob, Connor currently they're winning, all guys from down south, but there are a bunch of tabs down here for things like this one, best painted most sporting. We see our very own Alex Burdas, he's leading the painting rankings, which is great to see. There's like newcomer rankings as well. If you go around here, you can see who's doing the best of the newer players that have just joined. And then we've got the Scottish, Northern Irish and Republic Ireland rankings, which is our specific region. Now, the rankings for here you only get from going to events in our region, whereas the score that you'll have on the 2025 rankings would be for events anywhere in the GBHL that you've went to. So like I was down at Ardicon a few weeks ago, my score for Ardicon counts for the main GBHL rankings. It doesn't count for my region rankings because it's not in our region. So the way that you qualify for WTC is that it's the top 4 Scottish players in the main rankings and then the top 4 Scottish players in the region rankings. Sort of rationale behind that is that it rewards the best players who are going, like if we have people who are travelling and really aiming big to do well in the GBHL, they probably are our best players, I guess, and but they might be not doing as many tournaments in Scotland, but it's good to reward those people that are going out, really gunning for it and travelling further afield to try and play and doing well in the rankings. But equally, we want to support people who are supporting our local scene, supporting the tournaments within Scotland, and that's where the region comes into play. I actually kind of stole it from, slightly topical, from the Ryder Cup in golf. That's how the European team is selected for that, where they have like the European Tour and then the World Rankings. So bit topical because while you're watching NFL later, Casper, I'll be watching golf and watching Europe smash some Americans again, which is good. Always good to see.
It looks like Happy Gilmore right now. It's about to kick off all the time.
It does a bit. But that's kind of where that was the inspiration for why I decided that would be the way we'd qualify. And this has all been agreed by people who've been on the team for a few years. Like I ran this qualification system because we didn't used to have a qualifier. First few years it was literally just if you play the game and are Scottish, you can probably go, because we didn't have as much a scene back when the WTC started in 2017. But recently, like certainly the post-COVID boom, loads of tournaments, we've got a lot of players, so you need to think a sort of fair way that's open and accessible for everybody. So if you're going to the GBHL rankings and you filter it by country, this is an important thing. If you don't have your country set to Scotland, let me know. I know in the past we've had some people who like like Caleb, he was here, he was USA. Like Alfredo was set Spain. I can tick that when I'm filtering, but I only do it if I know. So I'm going to tick Scotland, because as far as I'm aware, all the Scottish players have their country set to Scotland. This will filter us and show who's doing well. Just Scottish players. And we've got Finlay at the top there. It shows your position as well. So like in the top 50, we've got 6 players, I think. And there's 7 players in top 50 right now, which is pretty good going. About the same in the top 100. So what I do is I take the top 12. If you are in the top 12, you're eligible for at the very least a wild card. So we get the top 12 players from there. And this is like, I'm just literally showing a live demo of how I pick the team. So that's the top 12 players. And then if we go along to the region and we take the top 12 players from there, the region does have Northern Irish and Republican players in it. None of them are in the top 12 at this moment in time. If they are, it would be the top 12 Scottish players. So again, just take the 12 from there and then do it like this, and basically just go through, and it's the top 4 in each, which you'd think that might give you 8 players. It doesn't actually, because if we look at it, well, Finlay is the top player in both chains. So I've already created this document, but I'm just showing you how I do it. So over here is the actual standings, but they say Finlay is player 1 because he is the top of the GBHL rankings, and then we would go to the region to see who player 2 is. Oh, that's Finlay again. So Ian, being the second top in the region, becomes player 2, which we can see here. Now, interesting thing about that is that Ian has jumped up to player 2. You see his fourth score there is only 80 points. I say only 80 points. 80 points is a great score. His fourth score prior to Dundee was only 40 points, which meant he was on 301, which meant he was all the way down here in like 14th. Now, that's a great example of how one event can change your season. So even if you're thinking, oh, I'm a bit further in the rankings, I don't think I'm going to get in, just try and get to any events that you can, and try and post some good scores, because you definitely can get into the top 12. Like, jumping from 14th to 2nd was a massive thing that for Ian. I'm not saying that many people will be able to do that, but just going along a couple of tournaments and improving your scores will be enough to get you into the top 12 if you put your mind to it.
Also on that, Dave, even if you're nowhere near that, if you win an event, you're a wild card.
We'll get into that there now as well. Right. So, but yeah, very good point. If you've got one event and you win it, especially if it's a late season event, that's going to be fresh in people's minds when we're picking the wild cards. So you get your 8 players. Currently, our 8 players at the moment who are in the team are, so for WTC, it's the top 8 that will qualify for and then we get 4 wild cards. For the Nations Cup, it's only the top 4, and then there's 2 wildcards. So the standings at the moment, we've got Finlay in first place, Ian in second place, myself in third, Andy Stone in fourth, Chris Murphy in fifth. Mark has also, with his great performance in Dundee, jumped up into the team. He's in sixth place. Then we've got Conor Kerr in seventh, and Liddell is in eighth. So that's the top 8 as it stands. So it would be the top 4 for Nations Cup, which is Finlay, Ian, myself and Andy. Top 8 for WTC. Then we get the wildcard pool. The wildcard is if you were in the top 12 in the GBHL, but not already in the top 8, you are in the wildcard pool, which is Andrew Kerr, Stuart Collette, Stuart Dobie, John McCorkadale. If you're in the region top 12, but again, not into the top 8, that's again Stuart Collette again, John McCorkadale again, Andrew Kerr again, but also Marty Sanderson. And as Casper mentioned there, if you've won a tournament, you are eligible to be a wildcard. So we've got Conor Kerr, who won the Kill Bill. Actually, Conor's in the team, so I'm going to remove that because he doesn't need to be there. He's in the top 8. But John McCorkadale, he won the Meg and he won Bridge Over the Tay as well earlier in the year. With Aaron Robertson won the Kelpie Conquest up in Keith, and Danny Walker won Fall of Casa Dundee in Dundee. So again, they're eligible to be selected. And then anyone who was on last year's teams for either of the 2 events, WTC or Nations Cup, but hasn't made it in the top 8, you are eligible to be picked again. So here there's Stuart Collette, Marty Sanderson, Alfredo Lorca, Jamie Baxter, Fraser Gillespie, Henry Williams, Alan Cameron, Caleb Silvergild and David Alexander. They're all eligible for wildcards. And then how the wildcard works for WTC, it's like the 8 players who are on all pick in order the 4 players they'd like to see join the team from the people in the wildcard pool. For Nations Cup, it's only 2 that you pick, because again, only a team of 6 that goes to that one. And when you're picking, like, these are all factors like that have like how people have done throughout the year. Like, has somebody maybe won a tournament? Maybe you haven't had such a great year, but you went last year and you did really well at WTC last year. You were a really good part of the team. That's important as well. Again, it is a team event and we're going over as part of a team. So you want people that are going to get on board with the sort of team environment and like be willing to play as a team, because it's a bit different from playing individually. You still play individual games, but you are playing as part of a team. So like, again, it's really the team score that matters. And that's, yeah, once we finalise the team, which will be the end of the year, we'll vote on the wild cards, and then they'll be invited to join, and that will give us our 12 players for next year's WTC. And then again, say 6 players for Nations Cup. So it's just a bit of breakdown. I thought it's just good to call out just now. We might do in a future episode. I think I'm just going to stop my screen share just now. But we might do in a future episode a bit of rundown about previous like Team Scotland's trips and stuff like that we've done, because I think it's like we've all been on them and they're great. Like, it's some of the best times in the hobby is going away with a bunch of guys getting to play in these international events, get to explore a new place. Really good. So we might run, let's say, do a segment on that in a future episode. But this was just more to make people aware about how we qualify, because it is getting to that part of the season where there's only a few events left, but there is still time. As I say, Mark and Ian showed it perfectly at Dundee. They hadn't been on the team for the full year. Go and get a big performance to add to be fair, both of them are adding to some already good performances earlier in the year, and they've been able to jump straight in. So if you're out there and you're interested in Team Scotland, 1, get in touch, ask questions. Like, we're totally happy to have those conversations, and 2, get yourself to some events and try and see if you can make it into the top 8 or even just the 12s, win an event, something like that, and get yourself in the mix. Because
Who's currently player number 9?
Player number 9, so that would be the next player in the GBHL rankings, which is Andrew Kerr at the moment, is player 9. Right now. Because there is always the possibility that, like, if you're 9 for 10, if there's always a possibility you just get on the team because real life happens. Like, I think, did you qualify last year, Casper, and you couldn't make it with, like, just family things and stuff like that?
Yeah. Annoyingly, I was team 1 last year, and just couldn't go when my son was born in April, so a bit of a mental year, to be honest. So
I'm a panic attack, couldn't handle it. Just had to bow out.
I'm still hoping. I still have the dream of winning an event before the year's done. It's just been a tough year for me in terms of, I mean, the new scenarios coming out. I've not been able to practice. I played rubbish, to be honest. I've not settled in armies, but yeah, to answer your question, I wasn't able to go, but I still need to get a win on this calendar, this season, and hopefully I can go.
2 weeks time.
When is is there not a doubles event coming up at some point soon? I was just thinking about that just now at Bathgate.
Oh, you mean the STC?
Yeah.
That's not happening this year, unfortunately, which is a shame because I always really enjoyed it, but it's not. And the other doubles event, which was going to be Fright Night at Fangorn at Vlad's, it was replaced by Ambush at Air. So again, singles events. So we don't have any doubles events this year, unfortunately. So if you're a prospective TO and you want to run a doubles event, this could be a good thing to add to the calendar. For TOs, actually, any TOs that are listening, the submission window for GBHL to run events is open at the moment. So if you've got an idea for an event next year and you want to send an event request, then just go back to that website, which I was sharing earlier, and you can send the form in.
As the person that was somewhat behind STC, there wasn't enough interest that made it worthwhile.
I miss when your Last Alliance was doubles, but then again, I actually like Last Alliance as it is as well. But I definitely miss like a 90 doubles event. I mean, I'm quite sweaty. 80s to me are like fun, but a 90 is always has that extra level of prestige.
I mean, I think we've only got like 380s, something like that.
Not so many.
Dobie was telling me that he's thinking about running a team event, but I think that they just fall on their arse all the time because it's always in like theory and like it'll be great experience for the Scottish teams going into WTC. But the thing is,
there's always
it's just
people that like say how interested they are, but then when it comes to ticket sales, they just don't bother buying a ticket, and period, or they'll wait until the last minute, and you're like, well, this isn't helping us get numbers and get an idea of how much we can put into the events.
I think, yeah, anyway, it's just, it is hard to get that many people committed and stuff, but like it would be really good to have team events like that, I think, but it's just hard to organise them and, like you say, get the buy-in.
Yeah,
depends how big you made the teams as well. I don't know how many teams you could get together.
I mean, I tried to make the STC originally teams of 4, so it was kind of like a Scottish team championships like WTC, but only Scotland. There was plenty of people that seemed to be interested, and then it was, I think, we managed to get 2 teams that were like set. I've got a team of 4, I've got a team of 4, and then it was just no.
So possibly try teams of 3 could be a thing, but I don't know. I mean,
that was still another case, but I was like, if I'm barely even getting 2 teams or 3 teams of 4, it's still only 3 or 4 teams of 3, which is no worth having an event on that. So that's why it pretty much got split in half into teams of 2.
Yeah.
I'd like to see doubles and even like teams of 2 again. So as I say, if you're a TO out there, especially because there's a lot of people that run multiple events, and if you're thinking, well, I need an idea for another one, like I'm running 3 singles events, maybe run 2 singles events and try one as a doubles or something. I think there's an appetite for it.
There's also the doubles scenarios in the match play guide, so we're one of the kind of few games that actually has somewhat of a balance around doubles and things. So
yeah, but for what I hear, the doubles scenarios are just the same as last year, and they weren't great.
Right, come on, Captain Negative.
He's very negative person, but
all right,
but no, that was just a
fantastic scenarios, and here there's positive things. Yay, GW.
As I say, that was just a bit of rundown on Team Scotland and where we are at the moment with it. So, and we're always interested. Like, we'll run a couple of practice days. That's another thing to look out for next year. Is we'll run a couple of practice days ahead of the events. So that's another good way of showing that you're interested in attending future ones, is to just come along to the practice days, and you can help the team practice and get some practice yourself, probably for upcoming tournaments. But all that stuff will be posted. I'll keep doing another couple of wee updates. The last time I actually posted the team standards was before Dundee, so the one that we were sharing there is a bit different from the last one I posted. But as we get into the rest of the year, we've got Rule 2 coming up, as you said, Liddell, and then I know there's Ambush Air shortly after. There's one in Bangor as well, which is the GBHL 100 for our region, and there's 7 of us going across to it, and I think there's still more tickets if people are interested. Then there's one up in Keith, which is up near Elgin. It's a 90. And then, of course, Scouring as well, which, like, we are sold out, but if you want the reserve list, get in touch. And then I think Fraser's planning on doing a 1-day 90 in December in Glasgow. And then there's a GBHL finale down in Newcastle, which, like, for a change, is not that far for us to travel. Like, we're closer to the finale than a lot of the English players. So hopefully we'll see a few Scottish guys going down to that. That counts as 100 for every region. So there's still plenty of opportunity to get points on the boards. And I'll post kind of regular updates once we get the results in from a few more tournaments. And it'd be interesting to see how the team sort of shapes up and stuff going into the end of the year.
See, on that note, Dave, this may be useful for me, but useful for people listening. You mentioned Fraser's thinking about doing an event in December. So, if you are a prospective TO, what's the process in terms of? I know that you have to apply to the GB. Just give a quick rundown of how that would work if you're thinking about doing it, or how it fits into the calendar as well, because obviously you need to make sure there's not too many events or whatever.
Yeah, so the reason I said the word thinking, Fraser does have a spot on the calendar, and I think it's like the 6th of December or something like that. I just know he's had a few venue issues, which is why he cancelled his previous tournament, and that was supposed to be in September. So I know he's very much hoping to run the one in December. He just has to finalise some things with the venues, so that's why I didn't want to commit him too much to it. But he does have a slot on the calendar that he applied for earlier
in December.
But the process right now, I'd say the process is open. It's just closed for hundreds actually. So GBHL hundreds for next year. Everyone who is wanting to run 100 should have applied by the 27th of September, which was yesterday at time of recording. The process is like Matt King, who's our schedule coordinator, will open up a window for people to apply, and it's just a form. As I say, it's a form on the website. You go in, you fill in details about your event. You need to put a bit more details for 100s, but 90s, it's the main thing is the dates that you want, but you'll be asked for 3 dates, so like your preferential date and then a couple of backup dates, just in case other people have picked that same date, particularly people within the region. But we had a really, really productive conversation with the TOs, or the current TOs at least, this year, going through when do people want to be running events, and we tried to spread the calendar out as best we could. So I'm hoping that means we'll have a bit of more spread out calendar next year, which would be really great. If you are an 80 or a 90, applications are open right now. So if you want to run an 80 or a 90, go on the website, fill the form in, and you'll see your event on the first draft of the calendar, which I think is due out some point early October, early mid-October. But you can add 80s and 90s to the calendar throughout the year. You need to give, I think it's like, preferably 8 weeks notice if you're sending the application, because you need to have the tickets information all up 6 weeks in advance of the event. It's just a little harder to get a spot on the calendar later in the year, because everyone who's applied already will have places on the calendar. So if you don't apply right now, it might kind of be slim pickings for you. You might be struggling to fit a time in the calendar just because of how busy it is. Like, we've had on average around 20 events in Scotland the last sort of 2 or 3 years. And plus we share a region with Northern Ireland and Ireland as well, so we need to give those events a bit of space, and sometimes you end up with chains of like 3 or 4 events weekends in a row, which we've tried to avoid with conversations we've had this year, for next year. And ideally, like, if we leave gaps, it's good to try and keep gaps just for a bit of breathing space and give people times to like do stuff that isn't just the hobby as well. But if you're a TO and you're listening, get your application in. That would be my recommendation. And again, any questions, I'm also, as well as being a WTC rep for Scotland, I am the GBHL rep, as we've spoken about before. So if you've got any questions about any of that stuff, drop me a message, and we can have a chat.
Cool. Don't think we've got much more to cover at all. Slightly shorter episode, which is cool. Anything that you want to bring up at all, Liddell or Mark, Dave? Anything?
Huh? No, I mean, you've pretty much covered it. Obviously, you've mentioned Rule of 2 in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I hope to see. I hope to see. Well, we look to see you guys, but also any of the listeners and stuff at some of the upcoming events, because quite a few events coming up, and it'd be good to see folk there and get a game in.
A bit more of a unique pack, so it's one that's worth looking at if you want to try something a little bit different from the standard kind of regular Formula 8 games.
Yeah, I've actually done a couple of practice games for it, so I'm looking forward to it. Interesting to see people go massive hero heavy. Don't know, it'd be quite cool. I'm hoping that there's, because of the free Enduros, that there is no monsters really, which is very unique for this edition, because there's always some form.
There's monsters. There's
some flavour. Oh god,
Some monsters can get the Anduro, because the thing is they replace their combat weapons. So if you're a monster with a sword, like a troll chieftain, they'll have Anduro.
Yeah, like
whereas
the black.
I mean, like, but what would it like?
You're just not getting the same bonus if you're going from wounded everything on 6s because you're strength 4.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much the troll chieftain's getting an elven blade. That's pretty much the main thing.
That's mostly it. Yeah.
I guess it can go two-handed as well.
It makes a difference for stuff like the Witch King, which is.
But you categorically cannot take eagles. So the eagles are in the bin.
You can't take the eagles, but you can take Radagast Alliance.
Or you can take like Gwahir in Battle of 5 Armies and things, but like that's fine. Like whatever.
And they don't crucially, they don't replace their teeth and claws with an Anduro. Like, so monsters that don't have an actual weapon don't get Anduro. So
I know it's in the pack, but what about if you're unarmed, Liddell?
Well, Galadriel is unarmed, but she will gain an Anduril, because I mean she can hold a weapon.
Yeah.
So she just gets. So she's no longer unarmed. She loses that in terms of.
Yeah, so she get a weapon. She still be one attack, but she will.
Celeborn as well. He'd get an Anduril for his one attack.
So I can use my old Celeborn model again. He has a sword.
Do you have a
I mean,
Caliburn,
yeah,
Mark,
but
or
he'll
not?
still be in pajamas.
Yeah.
Is Celeborn one attack?
He is only
Yep.
one attack, yes.
Yeah. It was one of the
That is-
awkward things. The armoured
That
one
is the
never
standing list.
came
I
back.
will say that is the standing list. Galadriel, Celeborn, Haldir, Elf Captain.
I was considering running Galadriel Rumil, I think it was. And maybe an Orphan. No, Orphan's the blender one. So yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was
Orphan's cool,
Orphan,
but
Galadriel, I was
because
considering.
if you take Pajama Elves, it matches quite well because you don't care if you get killed on 4s. It doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
does it?
I think, like,
I mean,
with
if
the
I need to play,
attacks
I'll pretty
is
much be
good.
going Rambo constantly and just saying two-handed all the time.
Mm.
No
And I
banner.
think-
And although
think, like-
Galadriel has only got the one attack, she also hopefully can make the enemy's biggest hero dribble on themselves for the whole game. So
Yeah.
I think like everyone probably, correct me if you haven't thought about it, but like you're like, oh, I could two-hand with everyone with an Andor. Oh, cool. Oh, I could take Ori. And then everyone's not going to be getting the penalty to two-hand. Then you're like, but the problem is I've got a bunch of dwarves that are going to die on 4s as well.
when it
so-
came to that, my first thought was that you could take Boromir and wound everything on 2s.
Yeah. I think the actual play is if you have the army would be to take usurpers because like you've got like Wolf that's going to be wounding things on pretty much 2s as well because +1 to wound against heroes and things, 3s rather. And you don't care if your JK tribesmen get killed on 4s. And also if people take 1,000,000 heroes because it's
They're getting killed on 4s usually anyway.
You've got Crebain that are like wounding you on like +1 to wound. Everyone has +1 to wound against heroes. I guess Usurpers is 1,000,000% the play. Just don't wound them.
Wolf could wound Rohan heroes on 1s, I think,
Yeah.
can't he? Because he's like 4s with Andoril, +1 because they're heroes, +1 for Hatred Rohan, and then +1 if he goes two-handed.
Aye.
It's like, I'll wound you on 1s.
Wolf wins the combat against Theoden.
Well,
Theoden just surrenders.
Are ones still ones?
But I don't know, actually. I
Because
think
if
they
they
might
are,
not
then
be.
there's no point in going two-handed.
last edition,
Yeah. I think that might have
last
been
edition
clarified.
it was you could win things on 1s, wasn't it?
With Prowlers, that was a thing with
Yeah,
Prowlers.
it was, and
in
it was
last
just an
edition.
auto
Two-hand,
win.
Pierce of Strike and Trapped.
Yeah,
I can't believe
you
it
could
hasn't been
automatically win
FAQ'd that you can't stack +1s to wound. I think it's kind of a bit obnoxious because it used to just be like Assault and Lothlorien that were really bad for it. Now it's just like there's these stupid combos all over the place. I don't think +3
Nah, it should
to
be
wound
fine.
should be out.
I think you should be able to stack them. There's maybe an argument that you shouldn't be able to, that there shouldn't be so many ways that you could stack them. But I think, like, if you've already got a +1 to wound and then you choose to two-hand, you're still taking the negative of two-handing in order to get that +1.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly taking a negative.
I don't know exactly because there's also now the fact that you're just like not taking any negatives and you're
Yeah,
like
it depends how many
wounded.
attacks you've got and stuff, I suppose. Like, the Boromir thing, you're probably getting a 6. And then if you don't get a 6,
I'm liking
spend a million,
getting
might
people
your
thinking.
Boromir
A lot of people are asking me questions. Sorry, Mark.
No, you're fine. There you go.
I think it'll be interesting in the next episode to run through the lists that have done well and see how much the Andoril factor played into what did well and what people brought. And I think that's what we will be covering on the next one.
Yep.
I don't know if we'll have, depending on when it is, we might have maybe the banger tournament, depending if we record before or after that. That might be on the next episode as well. They say there's 7 else at the moment travelling across to Northern Ireland for that, so that should be pretty cool. And if you are interested in joining, just give us a shout because you probably still get the same flight and stuff that we've booked.
Okay, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there then. Unless Liddle,
I'll
you've got any
apologise
last
to Mark.
points.
Because he has actually sent me a list. Which
When you
means
said
it's just
2,
you,
you didn't. I
Casper.
thought you meant they 2.
No. They've sent me a
I
list.
knew I had, but
Aye.
Right, okay.
I assumed it was you two.
No, it's
I
actually
think
just
so.
Casper.
A few days ago.
I think I'll do Halls with Rando. I don't think they play amazingly in terms of like the free weapons, but it's great on Thranduil because he has rerolls to wound in his profile. So all of a sudden you're rerolling to wound with it, which is cool.
Kind of silly on Toriel, like.
I'm not doing Toriel though. I think I'll
Yeah.
go
I
Legolas.
suppose Legolas
Yeah.
is Legolas
Yeah.
is definitely the play.
Chuck
I mean, you
Legolas
can't
on a
take two.
horse though, which is the spiciness. Because generally speaking, at 600, I would never do that. But I think all of a sudden on a horse, he's a blender as well as being able to shoot with pretty much all the same
Aye. I think
Legolas.
if you're wanting to get use out of the Andoril, putting him on a horse is probably a good shout just because he's only got 2 attacks.
Yeah, it's awesome because like he's far more confident being in combat. and he just does everything. But I don't know. To be honest, I've kind of fallen out of love with that Halls of Thranduil. I'm also not going to have March on my list, which annoys me. But anyway, I don't know.
Big.
But
Well,
actually, I
at
think
least
in the
he's won a
scenarios,
scenario.
I don't think it matters too much in these scenarios because it's like for treasure, as treasure hoard doesn't matter too much. I should be able to get
Is
on.
your army not split up in convergence?
Yeah, but I don't mind too much in terms of the March would be more
If
for
he
things
had
like Knights of
March
Power.
on, if he only had 2 heroes in March and he was playing that, he would be burning his might just to March because he's got it. Whereas if he's not got it, he's not going to do that, obviously. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not going to have that. He's
At
not
the
going
same
to have that
time, if
impulse.
he did, you could just choose to not if it was. If it was
No,
the
but
wrong
because
thing
he's
to
got
do.
it, he's going to be too tempted.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Anyway, I'm going to wrap up there because we're rambling, we're going on, and if we can get this below 2 hours for the first time, it'd be a better achievement for us, to be honest. Anyway, so next time we'll talk about.
Said it's going to be a shorter episode, and then we just keep talking, and it's actually longer.
I know. Then I feel like I'm rude for cutting everyone off, but I think most listeners have turned off by now anyway from the crap we're talking, so we're probably all good.
I'm probably right there.
Right, yeah, wrapping it up there. Hopefully, next time we can speak from another winner at an event. Hopefully, it's not Mark and it's me, of course.
Got
and
fun
as
in the
always,
last game.
Just push Dave at the side there. Ignore him.
I actually love how like
one event already this year.
Aye, Dave's no winner with a hard
You-
destiny bring.
you're the only. You three of you are all in that top 8 for qualifying. I'm letting the team down, but I've got good excuses this year. I think
You've not been to many events, to be fair.
3, I think, which is annoying, but it is what it is. Anyway, thanks for listening this far. If you've lasted this long, and we'll catch you next time on the Witch Kicking Podcast. Thank you, guys. Cheers, folks. Bye.
See ya.